Have you ever imagined that some pickup trucks were so outrageous, so powerful, and so far beyond common sense that they almost seem erased from history on purpose? These are not ordinary utility vehicles built only to haul tools, cross muddy roads, or tow heavy loads. These are machines that pushed the limits of design, engineering, and even legality. Some were too fast for their own era. Some were too aggressive to make sense on public roads. Others looked like they had rolled straight out of a military laboratory, a dystopian movie, or a secret government project that was never supposed to be revealed. Today, you're about to see 20 pickup trucks that were banned, forgotten, ignored, or simply too extreme for the world around them. Some became legends because of their insane horsepower. Some earned cult status because they were so rare and so bizarre that people still question whether they were real. And some were created by brands that had absolutely no business building pickup trucks in the first place. That is exactly what makes them unforgettable. This is not just a list of unusual vehicles. This is a journey through the wildest side of automotive history, where engineers stopped listening to reason and started building dreams, monsters, and mechanical insanity. You will see luxury brands turning trucks into six-wheeled beasts, sports car companies experimenting with cargo beds, and manufacturers creating concepts so dangerous or unrealistic that they never had a chance of surviving in the real world. Some of these pickups challenged laws, some challenged physics, and some challenged the very definition of what a pickup truck is supposed to be. So get ready, because what you're about to watch is not a normal ranking. It is a parade of forbidden icons, forgotten experiments, and absurd machines that prove the automotive world is far stranger than most people realize. Apocalypse Hellfire. We begin with the Apocalypse Hellfire, a pickup truck that looks less like a road vehicle and more like something designed to survive the end of civilization. Built with a military-inspired body, massive off-road tires, extreme ground clearance, and a brutal stance, this machine seems ready to drive through collapsed cities, deserts, and battlefields without hesitation. But the Hellfire is not just about appearance. Under the hood, it delivers outrageous power, turning this monstrous truck into an aggressive symbol of excess. Everything about it is exaggerated. The size, the attitude, the styling, and the sheer intimidation factor. It is the kind of pickup that makes normal trucks look weak, and its existence feels like a challenge to logic itself. BMW M3 Pickup. Next comes the legendary BMW M3 Pickup, one of the strangest and most fascinating experiments ever created by a performance brand. At first glance, the idea sounds ridiculous. Take one of BMW's most iconic sports cars and turn it into a utility vehicle with a cargo bed. It should not work. It should feel wrong. And yet somehow, it does work. Originally built as a real factory project rather than a fan-made fantasy, the M3 Pickup combined the speed, balance, and precision of a high-performance coupe with the practicality of a light-duty truck. The result was bizarre, clever, and unforgettable. It remains one of those rare automotive creations that seems like a joke until you realize it was real all along. Brabus 800 Adventure XLP. Then we have the Brabus 800 Adventure XLP, which is essentially what happens when luxury, madness, and brute force are fused into one vehicle. Based on the Mercedes G-Class, this pickup is transformed by Brabus into a towering off-road monster with enormous presence and shocking performance. It features a radically extended chassis, a pickup bed, an extravagant interior, and enough power to make it feel like a supercar trapped inside a military machine. The XLP is not subtle in any way. It is oversized, overpowered, and unapologetically extreme. It was not built for ordinary drivers or normal roads. It was built to dominate attention, terrain, and expectations all at once. Chevrolet El Camino. The classic Chevrolet El Camino earns its place on this list because it was one of the most unusual automotive hybrids ever sold to the public. Was it a car? Was it a pickup? That debate followed the El Camino for decades, and that confusion is exactly what made it special. With the front design and driving feel of a sporty coupe, combined with the utility of an open cargo bed, it created a category almost entirely of its own. More than just a strange idea, the El Camino became a cultural icon, especially in the United States, where it represented style, freedom, and a rebellious refusal to fit into traditional categories. It was not absurd because it failed. It was absurd because it succeeded. Chevrolet Silverado Yenko SC, closing this block, is the insane Chevrolet Silverado Yenko SC, a pickup infused with pure muscle car DNA. Created with performance as its main obsession, this truck takes the familiar Silverado platform and turns it into a street beast with outrageous horsepower and an aggressive personality. It is the type of vehicle that feels almost illegal just by existing, all because pickup trucks are not supposed to launch this hard or move this fast. The Yenko SC carries the spirit of classic American performance into a larger, meaner, and more intimidating form. It is the perfect example of a machine built not because the world needed it, but because someone wanted to prove that even a full-size truck could become a monster. Dodge Deora. The iconic Dodge Deora looks less like a pickup truck and more like an alien spacecraft that accidentally landed in the automotive world. Originally introduced as a radical concept, the Deora broke almost every expectation people had about what a truck should look like. Its futuristic body, dramatic curves, and cab-forward design made it seem years ahead of its time. Even the entry system was bizarre, with the front opening in a way that felt more like science fiction than practical engineering. It was never meant to be a normal work vehicle. It was a rolling statement, a vision of a future where pickup trucks became design experiments rather than tools. That is why it still feels mysterious and unforgettable decades later. Dodge Lil Red Express. Right after that comes the Dodge Lil Red Express, one of the most rebellious trucks ever sold in America. In the late 1970s, when emissions regulations and the decline of the muscle car era were changing performance forever, this pickup appeared like an act of defiance. With its bold styling, signature exhaust stacks, and surprising speed, the Lil Red Express shocked the market by outperforming many sports cars of its time. It was loud, flashy, and completely unlike the conservative image most trucks carried back then. Instead of hiding its aggression, it celebrated it. The result was a pickup that became legendary not only because of how it looked, but because of how it embarrassed faster-looking cars on the road. Dodge Power Wagon. The legendary Dodge Power Wagon enters the conversation as a true tank disguised as a pickup truck. Built with toughness as its defining purpose, it became one of the most respected names in heavy-duty off-road utility. The Power Wagon was not trying to be elegant or refined. It was built to go where other vehicles gave up. With its rugged frame, commanding stance, and unstoppable character, it earned a reputation as a truck for the harshest conditions imaginable. Over time, it became more than just a practical machine. It became a symbol of mechanical strength and old-school durability. Few pickups capture the spirit of raw, uncompromising power the way the Power Wagon does. Ford F-150 Raptor R. The Ford F-150 Raptor R takes the off-road pickup formula and pushes it to a completely ridiculous level. Ford already created a legend with the regular Raptor, but the Raptor R turns the concept into something much more violent and extreme. It combines massive power with racing-inspired suspension, desert-ready capability, and an aggressive visual identity that makes it look like it wants to attack the terrain itself. This is not a truck designed for small ambitions. It is built for speed over dirt, control over chaos, and dominance in places where most vehicles would not survive. The Raptor R is a modern example of how pickup trucks have evolved from work tools into high-performance machines that can rival sports cars in excitement. Ford Nucleon. And then there is the mysterious Ford Nucleon, one of the wildest concepts ever imagined by a major automaker. This vehicle was not just futuristic in design, it was futuristic in the most dangerous way possible, because it was envisioned as being powered by nuclear energy. That idea alone makes it one of the most absurd automotive concepts ever proposed. At the time, nuclear power represented technological optimism, but putting that power source into a personal vehicle was an idea so extreme that it instantly crossed into madness. The Nucleon never became reality, and for good reason, but its existence as a concept reveals how fearless and reckless automotive imagination could become. It remains a symbol of a future that was too dangerous to happen. GMC Syclone. The GMC Syclone deserves to place here as one of the fastest and most shocking pickup trucks ever built. When it arrived in the early 1990s, it completely changed what people believed a truck could do. This was not just a quick pickup for its time. It was fast enough to embarrass sports cars and even some supercars in straight-line acceleration. That fact alone turned it into a legend. With aggressive styling, turbocharged performance, and all-wheel drive capability, the Syclone felt like an automotive ambush. It looked compact and relatively simple, but underneath that body was a machine engineered to surprise anyone foolish enough to underestimate it. It remains one of the clearest examples of a pickup truck becoming a genuine performance weapon. Hennessey Mammoth 1006x6. The Hennessey Mammoth 1006x6 is not a truck in the traditional sense. It is a monster with 6 wheels and a 4-digit horsepower figure. Based on an already aggressive platform, Hennessey transformed it into something so excessive that it almost feels like parody. The extended chassis, extra axle, massive dimensions, and terrifying power output make it seem completely detached from practicality. This is not a machine for normal roads, normal parking spaces, or normal people. It exists to dominate attention and deliver pure shock value. Yet behind the madness is serious engineering, proving that this is not just a wild-looking custom build, but a fully realized expression of what happens when performance tuning loses all restraint. Yeah, Holden Maloo R8 LSA. Australia gave the world one of the greatest high-performance pickups ever made, the Holden Maloo R8 LSA. Unlike many bizarre trucks that rely purely on size or visual aggression, the Maloo brought refinement, speed, and precision into the formula. It was sleek, muscular, and brutally quick, proving that a pickup could be both elegant and outrageous at the same time. Powered by serious performance engineering, it delivered the spirit of a sports sedan while still carrying the identity of a utility vehicle. That contradiction is what made it so special. It looked like something built for work, but it moved like something built for the racetrack. Few vehicles have blended those two worlds so successfully. International C XT XT Series. The gigantic International C XT XT Series looks less like a pickup and more like a military support vehicle that somehow ended up with civilian plates. Its scale alone is enough to make it unforgettable. Towering over regular traffic, this machine feels absurd from every angle, with proportions that seem designed to dominate highways rather than share them. It was built with commercial truck DNA, which gave it an intimidating presence unlike anything else in the pickup world. Driving one must feel less like operating a personal vehicle and more like commanding heavy machinery. The CXT XT series became famous precisely because it ignored moderation. It asked a ridiculous question: how big can a pickup get? And answered it without fear. Jeep Gladiator J10, the classic Jeep Gladiator J10, closes this section with pure old-school off-road character. It did not need exaggerated luxury or outrageous gimmicks to earn respect. Its strength came from its rugged style, boxy design, and unmistakable presence. The J10 embodied the raw spirit of utility and adventure, representing a time when trucks were built with honesty, durability, and a clear sense of purpose. But even beyond that, it had an imposing visual identity that made it feel larger than life. It looked like the kind of truck that could disappear into the wilderness for days and come back without complaint. In a list full of excess and insanity, the J10 stands out as a reminder that true toughness does not need to be flashy. Lamborghini LM002. The legendary Lamborghini LM002 is one of the most unexpected vehicles ever produced by a supercar manufacturer. When people think of Lamborghini, they imagine low, exotic, high-speed machines built for asphalt and attention. The LM002 shattered that image by arriving as a massive, aggressive off-road monster with pickup-like proportions and military-inspired presence. It looked outrageous because it was outrageous. This was not a subtle experiment. It was a high-performance giant that carried the same spirit of excess Lamborghini was known for, but in a form no one expected. The LM002 proved that even a brand associated with supercars could create something wildly impractical, intimidating, and unforgettable outside its normal identity. Mercedes-Benz G63 AMG 6x6. The Mercedes-Benz G63 AMG 6x6 is simply one of the most absurd road-going machines ever unleashed. It took the already iconic G-Class and stretched the concept into pure insanity by adding a third axle, gigantic proportions, incredible off-road capability, and enormous power. Everything about it is excessive. It is too large, too bold, too expensive, and too dramatic for normal life, which is exactly why it became legendary. The 6x6 feels like a luxury vehicle, a military truck, and a status symbol, all fused together into one impossible creation. It is not merely a pickup. It is a mechanical declaration of wealth, confidence, and total disregard for moderation. Tesla Cybertruck. The futuristic Tesla Cybertruck enters the list as one of the most controversial and divisive automotive designs in modern history. The moment it was revealed, it stopped looking like a vehicle from the present and started looking like a machine from a dystopian sci-fi universe. Its angular stainless steel body, unconventional proportions, and radical departure from pickup design norms turned it into an instant cultural phenomenon. Some people see it as revolutionary. Others see it as ridiculous. But no one ignores it. That alone makes it worthy of this list. The Cybertruck represents a future-focused philosophy so extreme that it forced the entire automotive world to react, debate, and reconsider what a pickup can look like. Toyota Hilux. The indestructible Toyota Hilux may seem calmer than the others on this list, but its reputation makes it just as legendary. This is not a truck famous for being flashy or outrageous in appearance. It is famous because it refuses to die. Across decades and across continents, the Hilux has built an almost mythical image as one of the toughest and most reliable pickup trucks ever made. It has survived punishing terrain, harsh climates, abuse, and extreme conditions that would destroy ordinary vehicles. That endurance transformed it from a practical machine into an icon. The Hilux proves that absurdity does not always come from design or horsepower. Sometimes it comes from a level of resilience that feels nearly impossible. Rezvani Hercules, 6x6. Finally, we reach the insane Rezvani Hercules 6x6, a modern armored beast disguised as a luxury pickup. Rezvani built its reputation on extreme tactical-looking vehicles, and the Hercules pushes that philosophy to the limit. With 6 wheels, aggressive bodywork, a towering stance, and an unmistakable military influence, it looks like something created for elite security forces rather than private owners. Yet, it also delivers luxury, technology, and exclusivity, making it one of the strangest combinations in the automotive world. It is both intimidating and extravagant, brutal and premium. The Hercules 6x6 exists in that bizarre space where pickup trucks stop being simple vehicles and become symbols of fantasy, power, and controlled madness. These machines are not just vehicles. They are declarations of power, excess, engineering ambition, and in some cases, complete insanity. Each one represents a moment when automakers, designers, or performance builders decided that being normal was not enough. Some of these pickups vanished because they were too rare, too expensive, or too extreme for the mainstream market. Others became legends precisely because they should not have worked, yet somehow they did. And a few remain unforgettable because they crossed the line between innovation and madness so completely that the world still does not know how to classify them. That is what makes this list so fascinating. It is not only about speed, luxury, or off-road capability. It is about ideas taken to the absolute limit, a nuclear-powered concept, a supercar brand building a military-style giant, 6-wheeled monsters made for the street, pickups faster than sports cars, trucks so durable they became myths. These are not ordinary chapters in automotive history. They are the strange, wild, and almost unbelievable moments that prove the industry has always been willing to experiment far beyond what seems reasonable. Some of these models disappeared. Some were produced in extremely limited numbers. Some became cult icons. And some perhaps should never have been created at all. But whether they were masterpieces or mistakes, every single one of them left an impression that still survives today. Now it is your turn. which of these pickup trucks would you actually dare to drive? And which one do you think truly deserved to be banned, forgotten, or locked away as one of the craziest automotive creations ever made?